Hiya! Welcome to LSB Feasters radio channel, where our mission in life is keeping great radio from the past alive. Today we're going to Boston and 1030 WBZ, and something that was really cool WBZ used to do back in the early 1970s, the Grease Weekend. For a couple of weeks back in the early 1970s, I think it was 72 and 73, WBZ would leave its talk format, play music, and pretend it was still the 1950s. It was just a great, fun thing to listen to, and WBZ cranked up the echo and just really recreated the sound of the 50s, and they brought in legendary Boston radio talent from the past, like Dick Summer, J.J. Jeffrey, Arnie, Ginsburg, Larry Justice, and others. And they didn't stop there. They also brought in legendary talent from around the country, like Robert W. Morgan, Murray the K, B. Mitchell Reed, Dick Clark was a part of this too, and Wolfman Jack. It was so much fun. I kind of wish BZ still did this kind of stuff today. If you weren't there in 72 and 73 to hear it, give it a listen now. It's the mighty 1030 WBZ Boston during the Grease Weekend.
Dick Summer.
And now, here he is.
Good morning, and welcome to this hunk of the Grease Weekend. I'm Dick Summer, and between now and the time we get finished, hopefully you will learn a lot of things that are important, like this.
One hen, two ducks. One hen, two ducks. One hen, two ducks. Three squawking geese. Four of the gray and the queasy at the very same time.
It's a terrible thing when you've grown up with your entire life with that thing, and all of a sudden you forget it. I could expect to be attacked by a platoon from Bruce Bradley's Tequila Elephants if I'm not careful about that. If you forgot good old Irving II's password, we'll be doing it a few more times between now and the time dawn hits your weary ear.
If you want to dance with me, if you want to dance with me.
The year was 1957, and Paul Anka and a fellow by the name of Chuck Berry were the kings of Grease at the time. Chuck Berry still is, and Paul Anka, A-N-K-A, remember? Hey, good morning. I'm Dick Summer, and on BZ's Grease Weekend, it feels kind of good to be back and sitting and doing a lot of things that some of you probably were just not there for, which is an incredible scene to think that people really were not running around with Diana, with penny loafers and Eisenhower jackets, because he was the guy. Eisenhower was the man in 1957. That's when the Eisenhower Doctrine began, and possibly into the culture of Cambridge at the time. Eisenhower used to be in the habit of calling a lot of joint conferences. Fascinating year. Here's the news you've been waiting for on this year's fabulous Dave Maynard tour that Crimson Travel Services arranged for you. Dave and you will leave October 4th by Pan Am jet right from Boston, and you'll be visiting London. That's always great, and Lisbon and Portugal, where your hotel will actually be in the plush Portuguese resort of Estoril. That's so classy that I can't even say it. Then you go on to Seville. And Malaga in Spain, and lots of places with pizzeria kind of names. But that's not all. You take a steamer over to the northern part of the African continent, and you will visit Tangiers and Casablanca of Humphrey Bogart fame, and exciting Marrakesh, and Morocco, spelled with 3 Ds here. You know, all the problems that the dollar is having, and it'll be reassuring to have an expert Crimson escort with you all the time, and also a tour like this that includes so much prepaid before you go. It includes just about everything. Round-trip Pan Am jet, hotels, most meals, sightseeing in each city, tips and taxes, and many special events like flamenco shows in Spain, camel rides in Tangiers, and a traditional Moroccan farewell dinner in Marrakesh. Tour cost is only $679 per person, double occupancy, plus 10% tax and service. So come on along with Dave on this fabulous tour. You can reserve on Monday by calling the Crimson Travel people at 868-2600. The only problem with going any place with Dave is he always breaks into song. He'll stand there, open his entire mouth, and sing, Ernie Cato and the mother-in-law, who's an expert on everything. You got to hand it to her, because if you don't, she will take it. And besides that, your mother's always been good in the head. Only your mother-in-law's head has
The point of no return, and for me there'll be no turning back.
Gene McDaniels on BZ's Grease Weekend. Hi, I'm Dick Summer. Anytime you think you're not going back, You just tune in.
Bright, exciting, WBZ.
Is she really going out with him?
I don't know.
Oh, there she is. Let's ask her.
Who's that banging on the piano?
Ringo.
Bright, exciting, WBZ.
I took my troubles down to Madame Rue. You know that gypsy with the gold cap too.
Leslie Gore and little Judy's turn to cry. Good morning, I'm Dick Summer, and this is BZ's Grease Weekend.
You're listening to the greatest grease of all time on WBZ Boston, Group W, Westinghouse Broadcasting.
Who's the kid?
Since you've gone, the moon, the sun.
Yeah, since you're gone. Things have been good in the time, for me, since these days on BZ. Things are good now, but I'll tell you, looking back, you gotta sometimes kind of say, hey, they weren't half bad then, too. The weirdest things you dredge up when you look over old hunks of tape. Stuff like this. Sometimes it's the rustle of an old discarded newspaper picked up in the wind, or the far-off moan of a ship's foghorn as it calls out in a blindness, the muted whispers of two lovers as they walk home, clinking of a half-empty glass, the muffled laughter nearby all night. All these things are in the nightlight. Thin, weary whistle of an unfamiliar tune as late-shift worker walks home. The loud laughter of companionship out on a night of conquest. Quick, metallic, lonely high heels along the stone pavement, and the heavy footfalls of the cop on the beat. This is in nightlight. Crackling fire sometimes in a blackened trash barrel that smolders to keep the newsboy warm. Swift striking of a match that for a fleeting second lights the secrets of an alleyway. Cry of a baby ignored, or is it the whimper of a cat turned out? The guy who's had one too many and can't forget and grumbles about it, or the bitterness of the guy who's had one too few and still remembers. The deathless silence of darkness. It's a mood, friend, which will remain until the first flicker of light and the coming of dawn.
Bright, exciting, WBZ.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye, day. That'll be the day.
Some guy at Buddy Holly and the Crickets, and that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Good morning, I'm Dick Summer on BZ's Grease Weekend. Very good to be here. 1239 right now. The Newton Free Library Center for the Visually Handicapped at 414 Center Street in Newton Corner is set up to serve the blind, the partially sighted, and the elderly. There are a lot of umpires from the Red Sox down there. They would like recent periodicals and breath. You want to say Yankee Stadium? For more information, call Mrs. Lynch at 527-7700. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, living in New York. It's a little bit like going to the dentist every morning, I'll clue you. Isn't that lovely going to the dentist, huh? You go there, you sit down in the chair, guy gets that instrument with a long, flexible handle, right? Runs it along your teeth like a kid running along a picket fence with a stick. Then he takes the rubber hammer, and you say... Diamonds on the BZ Grease Weekend. What do you mean you don't recognize songs like that? Who do you think you are?
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, just crying all the time. Ain't never caught a rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine. You always get the feeling of fun when you tune to the number one sound in town. WBZ. It's Summit.
When we last saw our hero, the middle-aged Duke of Shrewsbury, he had just ridden off on one of his many trips to see the evil Earl of Sandwich. The Duke, you'll remember, had been invited to the evil Earl's castle for a moat-side barbecue and dragon fry. Now, it was well known in those days that the evil Earl of Sandwich liked his guests to supply their own party refreshments. The Duke, being a good guest, brought his latest invention, the Shrewsbury. 2 slices of bread with a goodly hunk of meat between them. The evil Earl of Sandwich immediately saw a lot of commercial value in the Duke's invention, and so the rascal invited the Duke to put down his food and take a look at the new moat that the Earl had installed for his summer enjoyment. Shrewsbury, having been a star high diver at Duke University, was more than glad to accept the evil Earl's invitation as he stood watching some of the evil Earl's friends diving from the battlements. As we join our hero, he steps to the edge of the battlement and leaps gracefully into the air, at which point the evil Earl pulls the plug, and the rest is history. And ever since mighty evil day, whenever someone puts something delicious between 2 slices of bread, the result is falsely called a sandwich. But WBZ to the rescue! Join our battle cry!
Down with a sandwich, up with a Shrewsbury, yeah!
Once more, join our royal company.
Down with a sandwich, up with a Shrewsbury, yeah! We surveyed the hit parade for Boston and New England. Now lend an ear and you will hear all the top news on WBZ.
That's the Joey D and the Starlighters version of the Peppermint Twist. And, of course, he's the one who has the music going on the commercial now when Chubby Checker is standing up there saying, remember a little thing called a twist. And what nobody seems to pay any attention to at all was the guy who first did the twist was a guy by the name of Hank Ballard. And that was going back a few years to much, much before your time, or mine either, of course. 12:50 on BZ's Grease Weekend. I'm Dick Summer. That's back in the days of DuckTales and Dick Clark on a Saturday afternoon, huh? This is BZ's Grease Weekend. Had your oil changed lately, huh?
You big the rock?
That's late down in Washington and Brook Benton, and it's a rockin' good way. It's 12:55, about 5 minutes till news time on BZ's Grease Weekend. I'm Dick Summer. We're going to do some more of the things we did in the Nightlight Show, which will also take you back a few years if you are actually able to still stand up at this hour and can remember back to those days. You're in better shape than most of us, you know? A lot of us, that's about it for the exercise. You stand up and you walk over to the car, and, you know, like if the car is uphill, you start grunting, you know?
I can ride a kangaroo
boogaloo. Make kinkajou stew. The guy's name was Charlie Drake. Maybe you don't remember him, maybe you do. I don't know. It's called My Boomerang Won't Come Back. Charlie Drake himself later went on to program a lot of radio stations, one here in this city, and became a big hit and success, and is now also part of the Grease Heap. And, of course, the boomerang itself was the predecessor to the hula hoop. Some of you remember that, right? Hula hoop was the next invention, then the credit card, which went back to the boomerang. Because it's all the great Mandela. That's Sandy Nelson's Teen Beat. I'm Dick Summer. Much more Grease to go.
You're listening to the greatest Grease of all time on WBZ Boston, Group W, Westinghouse Broadcasting. Stand by for news. First, fast, factual, from the award-winning WBZ News Center.
That's a new one.
It's 63 degrees in Boston. The overnight low will stay in the low 60s. I'm Jack Kelly reporting the 1 a.m. WBZ News. Following is unbelievable, and you shouldn't really believe all of it, because it's all for fun as BZ relives the 50s and 60s right now with Dick Summer.
And now, here he is. Dick Summer.
Welcome back to the old Grease Bug.
Lucky ladybug. Oh, lucky ladybug.
Yeah, that's Billy and Lily, and it's called Lucky Ladybug. And in case you want to know, back in those days, we didn't do political humor, you know? That was even before Lady Bird, all right? It's 107, and I'm Dick Summer, and this is the Grease Weekend. Walter Brennan, he slung a lot of that mule stuff around there. There's a lot of actors who made it big in the early rock. And certainly they belong on the Grease Weekend.
Gun went flying from my fist. I was looking down the bore of the deadly 44 of Ringo. Ringo. They say that was the only time that anyone had seen him smile. I blocked the path of his retreat. He turned and stepped into the street. A dozen guns spit fire and lead. A moment later, he lay dead. The town began to shout, to cheer.
Bravo! Bravo! Hey, was that moving? Was that a great bit?
Nowhere was the shed a tear for Ringo.
Ringo.